used to be late to work almost every single day. I used to stack these excuses on the ride there, hoping my manager wouldn't call me out on it. I was so afraid of being accountable to myself. I would run my life on autopilot. It wasn't until I started holding myself accountable that I actually realized I was the flat tire, I was the upset stomach, or I was the traffic in the area. I wasn't able to really hold myself accountable, and that was something I needed to fix. I would no joke blame everybody but myself. Another strong example of this is when you're in a relationship, and I'm guilty of it, pointing your finger at the other person because they don't want to go to the gym, and you don't want to go to the gym because of it. And you start making excuses, and you don't want to go to the gym because they don't. That's not how being disciplined works. That's not how being accountable to yourself works. When it comes to social media, idea generation is a huge portion of the job. And if you can't sit down with yourself and you're living your life on autopilot, it is very, very difficult to actually come up with anything of substance or anything of value. And that's what I help my students with. I help them reframe from being on autopilot to actually seeing their reality in a bird's eye view. Along with the accountability, I used to struggle with finding trust in myself and actually believing in the fact that I could do something because of how many times I proved myself wrong. I pretty much lost all trust in myself because I kept saying, oop, yep, at 9 p.m. I'm gonna go to the gym, and then flaking on it. Or I would tell myself, yep, at midnight, I'm waking up at 7:30 in the morning and starting my whole routine, and I wouldn't do it. And that's where you start to chop down at your own confidence. How are you gonna be able to hold yourself accountable if your confidence is at an all-time low and the trust in yourself isn't there at all? So yes, this isn't gonna be the same for everybody, but for me, the journey took a lot of mindset work. It took a lot of deep diving, journaling, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted from life, because I could have easily just jumped into a 9-to-5, and I think 9-to-5s have their place, but I could have easily just jumped into a career path that wasn't gonna suit my nature, and I probably would have been a little bit unhappy just based on my dreams and aspirations. Along with blaming others for your laziness, you can also blame the algorithm. When it comes to posting content, everybody wants to blame the algorithm, but they can't look at their videos from a third-person perspective and notice that it's a bad video. If you're posting a good video, it should get a good engagement. And that is only true when the algorithm deems you as a trusted account to push content for. If you're not posting enough and you post a really great video, the odds of it blowing up is not very high. But if you have a long track record, it's kind of like a credit score. If you have a long track record of actually posting and being consistent and keeping people on the platform, then it's obvious that even if your video is not that great, the platform is gonna push it out because you have a long track record of doing so. So find a way you can actually capture attention early while you're growing that skill, and stop blaming the algorithm, because that's another form of not being accountable to your own discipline, I guess. A few weeks ago, I reached out to a guy who I met at an ice plunge and sauna gym. He was very successful. He drove a Lamborghini. I reached out to him to see if I could be one of his unpaid interns and see if I can be around him to help him with whatever he needs. I told him whether it's a coffee or something simple, or it could be actually filming content for him or creating ideas with him. Man has made a ton of money off of many different businesses, and I felt like he'd be a great opportunity to be around. And I'm reaching out for that opportunity, even though I have my own things going on. I realize that the influence of being around people that are doing it better than you is the ultimate goal. That being said, he did agree, and in the last few weeks, I've been working with him side by side, filming content, ideating, and figuring out what's gonna bring him to the next level of content. And ever since I've been working with him, it's been about a couple of weeks, and I've noticed these small changes starting to happen. I'm going to bed a little bit earlier. I'm eating a little bit better. I'm going to the gym just a little bit more. Mind you, he is a fitness content creator, so he has that kind of influence. Picking people that you know are gonna provide a positive environment to learn and grow from is what you need to be doing, even if it's not paid. You don't wanna be greedy. You wanna sit around people and be a sponge, especially if they're doing something really great. You are the 5 people you spend the most time with, and everybody's heard that time and time again. But then you literally hang out with the same exact people every single weekend, and it's a constant vicious cycle because you're expected to. If you're able to break out of that vicious circle, you'll start to see monumental leaps in your growth, even if it's just subtracting people out of your life. Because the average of all the people you hang out with is the average of who you're going to become. And you don't want to become someone who's lazy, always eating like shit, always spreading negativity. And that's something I just actually learned at 28 years old. Actually limiting the amount of interactions I have with certain types of people has brought me the most return on investment, I guess you could say. A great way of finding those kind of people is joining communities or hiring a coach that can show you their inner circle of friends. So I actually hired this guy named Owen. He lives in the same city as me, and he actually runs this community helping other people find UGC brand deals. That being said, I didn't really need help finding brand deals, but I knew I needed like a business coach or like an agent or something. So I found him. I knew he knew more than me, so I hired him on, paid the $4,000 to be in his circle, to actually pick his brain and figure out what I was missing. Flash forward 7 months, we've been to the gym a few times, we've been to church a few times, we get along pretty well. And what he realized is that I could help him teach his community how to do personal branding. This is the first time I'm actually saying this, but we actually did combine communities. And yes, he's on the UGC brand deal side, and I'm more on the personal branding, content creation side. So it's kind of a match made in heaven because those people need to learn how to present themselves online for brands. So we've actually combined communities. I couldn't picture a better fit, and it all took me taking the risk on myself to find myself a business coach and learn more. So that being said, if you need help finding a brand deal, making money online, or just presenting yourself online for a personal brand, link's down in the description.